Hey, what's up guys? My name is Davrik and I'm an SEO here at Business Assist. In this quick video, we'll be talking about the 8 KPIs for SEO that you should be monitoring while running your SEO campaign. And if you stick around to the end of the video, you will find a little gift that I've created for you all that you can use. Now, before we get into these 8 KPIs, we should have an understanding of just what SEO is. SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization, which basically means that we are optimizing your website for search engines such as Google and Bing. As SEOs, what we do is that we try and bridge this gap between search engines and your website. If your website is not ranking at the top, there's probably some miscommunication or a disconnect of some sort that is preventing you from showing up at the top. As myself and what all other SEOs do is that we just try and bridge that gap. We try and make sure that your website is being understood by these search engines, along with making sure that your website is providing valuable information and quality information as well. And even just from the technical side of things, we just try and make sure that these are connected and are on the same page. When it comes to how SEO works, there are two main branches, which is on-page SEO and off-page SEO. And on-page SEO you can think of as content such as blog content or product descriptions or even just anything that would deal with the website itself. Within the website itself, that would be on page. This can even mean the technical side such as HTML, JSON, schema, header tags, etc. We just have to make sure that these are all the best that it can be so that we are putting your best foot forward so that you can show up at the top. The other branch is off-page SEO, which is mainly known as backlinks, but it does extend outside of that. An example of that would be social media, because that is kind of like a signal to Google and to other search engines like, hey, this brand is all on these platforms, they're talking about this, etc. I wouldn't say that it has a direct effect, but it is a small signal that I believe has an influence on your rankings. So that would be the off-page side. Now that we know the basics of SEO, we can get into this first KPI, which is organic traffic growth. Now, Google gives us a free tool called Google Analytics, and within this tool, we can see just how our organic traffic is performing and whether or not it's going up, down, or staying relatively the same. One thing to keep an eye out is that when you do see this metric, do you see your traffic increasing or decreasing? What's going on here? And if it did increase, are there any spikes? If there are spikes, I'm questioning what caused this spike. Was it an algorithm update? Was it new keyword rankings that were obtained for a very specific keyword and possibly one that would generate a lot of leads? This KPI gives us an idea of just where your organic traffic is and how it's been performing over your specified period of time. When it comes to looking at the specified period of time, I wouldn't really focus on the day-to-day. SEO is something slower. So with that being said, I would take a look at least a month's worth of information and beyond, because within that month you could see how you did compared to the previous month. Or if you look at a quarter, you could see how your organic traffic performed compared to the previous quarter. Same thing with year on year. So the first KPI is organic traffic growth. The second KPI is engagement. And within this KPI are two certain metrics that you should be taking a look at, which is bounce rate and average time on site. Bounce rate is when somebody comes and visits your website and then immediately leaves. What that means in the eyes of search engines is that when a user landed on your webpage and then they left immediately, they didn't find what they were looking for, which this factor here could contribute to your rankings decreasing. The second metric is average time on site, which basically means how long is somebody spending on your website or on certain web pages. If they're spending a lot of time, this is a positive indicator that they're finding a lot of relevance to your website. And if they're not spending a lot of time, that means they found an answer really quickly, or they're not finding it relevant at all. You can also find these metrics within Google Analytics. So when you're looking at your organic traffic, take a look at the engagement section or the engagement column, because within there, that's where you'll find bounce rate and time on site. The third KPI is conversions, specifically organic conversions, which if you want to see this data, you can also find within Google Analytics. When taking a look at your conversions over a specified period of time, what's going on? Is it going up? Is it going down? If it's going one way or the other, for example, if there was a spike of an increase, I'd be curious as to why. Was there a sale that happened, or was there something else that had affected it? And if it's going down, why is it going down? What happened to our rankings, or even just visibility in general? What was the cause behind this decline? Those are two main questions that I would start out with when it comes to looking at conversions. But when zooming out, again, over your specified period of time, see if it's growing. And if it's growing, that means for the most part that you're moving in a positive direction, which is great because the more leads or the more sales, depending on what you're tracking, the more of those that you're getting and the fact that it's showing growth, this is a positive signal moving forward. The fourth KPI is organic visibility, which basically means how visible is your website and its web pages in search engines. Instead of Google Analytics, we'll be going to another free tool by Google called Google Search Console. And within this tool, that is where we can find the visibility portion of how your website is performing. And by taking a look at this metric, we'll be able to see just how your website is performing in terms of visibility. Is your visibility increasing? Is it decreasing? What's going on and why? But if you see a consistent growth, this is a positive signal. And if anything, it shows that you're moving upwards rather than downwards. Now, the fifth KPI is inevitable, and these are keyword rankings. Now, Google does have a free tool where you can get an idea of where your rankings are, but what I would recommend would be a specific keyword ranking tool, because depending on the tool, you can actually get quite granular with your data. So for example, if you are a local business that serves specific areas, you can see how you're performing within those serviced areas. But if you don't have access to that tool or don't want to pay for one because they can get quite expensive, again, we'll head back into Google Search Console, and they have a selection where it'll show average rankings. And with that, you can see fluctuations in your rankings, whether, again, they're going up or down. I understand that this is a very common and repetitive thing I say, but this is just data that we're trying to observe. But basically, within Google Search Console, you can take a look at average rankings and you can get an idea of how you're progressing. Another thing to look out for when you're taking a look at your rankings is if you'd seen a sudden drop in your rankings, I would be very curious as to what had caused that drop. And as for why that ranking had dropped, there are multiple reasons why. One of the famous ones is a algorithm update that was released by Google. Because typically when Google releases an update of that size, the industry itself tends to see large fluctuations. So that would be something to look out for and something that I just wanted to share, because if you had noticed that your rankings had dropped and it was due to an algorithm update, one, make sure that you are providing high quality information and that you're following best practice. And two, I also wouldn't worry too much because typically the algorithm will restabilize everything again. But it is definitely something to keep an eye on if you are impacted. The sixth KPI is trust and authority scores. Now, although Google does not give us any free tools to see this KPI, there are tools such as SEMrush or even Ahrefs where it will give you that visibility. Now, the reason why trust and authority scores are important is because it is a sign of credibility. When you have all these other websites that are shooting backlinks or that are linking to your website, this is telling search engines that your website is one of quality. When all of these high quality websites are linking directly to your website, this is telling search engines, hey, this website is getting all of these backlinks from all these really good websites. That means that they're doing something good. That means that they're providing high quality information. Let's crawl their website. Let's see if it is providing quality information. And if it is, this is exactly what we want. And we are going to increase your rankings accordingly. Now, with all that being said, I wouldn't focus too much on trust and authority scores because personally, I do have clients that have a top ranking position and are ranking above other websites that have much higher trust and authority scores. However, if you do want to cover all of your bases and make sure that you're putting your best foot forward, increasing this KPI would be more beneficial than harmful. The seventh KPI on our list is page speed. Now, Google provides us a free tool, thank you Google, called Page Speed Insights, which you can plug your website into and just to get an understanding of how your performance is and where opportunities may lie so that you can increase the performance of your website. The reason why this is important is because we need to have fast loading websites because this gives users a positive experience. They want to find answers quickly, so by providing an answer quickly, this is a really strong positive signal to Google. Hey, we are a fast loading website and we're providing quality information. Although page speed doesn't directly influence your rankings, it is better to have a fast loading website rather than a slow one. Another thing I like to do with this free tool is I like to plug in the top ranking competitors within the space, or let's say just competitors in general. What I would do is that I would plug my competitors' websites into this tool, compare that against my own, grab 2, 3, 4 more competitors and do the exact same process. And by having this table, showing mobile performance and desktop performance that'll give me an idea of whether or not to hire a developer to improve this page speed, or something that I can save later on and handle other priorities first. But page speed here is definitely an important factor, especially if you're e-commerce or even a service-based business. It's definitely important because you are just delivering information to your users faster, which could also increase the likelihood of a conversion. So keep that in mind. The eighth KPI is mobile friendliness. And again, just like page speed with today's modern day usage, mobile friendliness is really, really, really important to make sure that you have. Because if they have a poor mobile experience, this really, really impacts their ability to convert shoppers and prospects into buyers. So make sure that your website is mobile friendly and you'll be good to go. And that wraps up our KPIs for SEO video. If you like this video, we'd really appreciate a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. As for that special gift that I was talking about in the beginning of the video, I've created a dashboard through Google Data Studio that you can use and link directly to your website so that you can see how your website is tracking against these KPIs. Although it is based off of Google Analytics and Google Search Console, it should give you enough information to find out where you are and maybe even where some opportunities may lie, or if you were impacted by anything, it should be able to give you that visibility. If you have any questions about SEO or your SEO campaign, or are looking to improve your SEO, get in touch with us on the team. We'd love to help you out. Thank you again so much and have a great rest of your day. Bye.